Welcome. In this lecture, I want to challenge the way you think about the trajectory of your life. We live in a culture that tries to sell us adventure as a product, a theme ride, a curated tour, an escape room. These are safe, pre-planned experiences. They are entertainment, not adventure. Beyond entertainment lies a profound reality. The authentic adventure has no script. It has no safety net guaranteed by a tour guide. To understand what is actually happening when we step into the unknown, we must look at the anatomy of the experience. Drawing on the work of Italian philosopher Giorgio Agamben, we are going to deconstruct adventure into 5 mysterious elemental forces. These aren't just abstract concepts. They are the winds and tides that govern every human existence. To understand these forces, we need a map. Not a map of land, a map of sea. I want you to imagine your life as a voyage on an uncharted ocean. You are the voyager. In this metaphor, you are not trying to get from point A to point B in the fastest time possible. You're trying to navigate a ship through elements you cannot control. Your journey is shaped by 5 specific powers: the North Star, the weather, the currents, the wind, and the sextant. Let's look at the first and most critical force, the North Star. Every voyage needs an orientation. In the anatomy of adventure, this is called the calling, or what Greeks call the daemon. Think of this as your North Star. It's an inner guiding spirit. It's not a detailed itinerary. The North Star doesn't tell you how to sail the ship, nor does it promise calm waters. It simply tells you where true north is. Your calling is that irrational little voice that destines you to emancipate yourself from the crowd. It is the demand to remain faithful to your self-creation process. It is a potency, a possibility that we must strive to remain faithful to at all costs. Without this star, you aren't adventuring, you're just drifting. But as soon as you set sail towards that star, you encounter a second force, chance, or tash. This is the weather. Chance is the unpredictable storm. It's the sudden squalls that tears your sails, or the unforeseen calm that leaves you stranded. In our modern lives, we try to insure ourselves against chance. We hate it. We view it as an error in the system. But Agamben argues that chance is essential. It's the disruptive force that tempts us from our path. Why? Because an adventure requires the unexpected. If you know exactly where you're going and what's going to happen, you haven't left the harbour. You must face the weather. Beneath the surface of this weather lies a deeper, more powerful force, necessity, or ananke. Think of the deep ocean current. Necessity is the inescapable requirement to follow your inherent nature. But here is the paradox of the adventurer. We must take the random accidents of chance, i.e. the weather, and transform them into necessity, in this case, the current. When a storm hits, say you lose your job or you face a crisis, that is chance. But when you accept that event, when you say, this is part of my story and I will use it to get to where I need to go, you transform it into necessity. You make the accident your own. You turn the random event into an inevitable orientation for your life. Now, a ship sitting in a current without power is just a raft. You need momentum. And that brings us to the 4th force, love, or eros. This is the wind in your sails. We aren't just talking about romance here. We're talking about passion. To love in the context of adventure means to be carried. It requires a degree of self-abandonment. You have to open the sails and let the wind take you. This is terrifying for the modern mind because we're obsessed with self-control. But you can't propel yourself through an adventure on willpower alone. You need the regenerating force of passion to transform the accident of chance into the obligatory journey. Only a life that takes the form of adventure can truly find this kind of love. Finally, how do we measure our progress day by day? We use hope, or the ellipse. This is your sextant. We usually think of hope as wishing for a better future. I hope the storm ends tomorrow. That is passive. That is weak. For the primed adventurer, hope is a tool for right now. It is a radical, imminent disposition. It is persistent hope. It means looking at the rough sea, the dark sky, and the long horizon, and finding satisfaction in the act of navigation today. It is the affirmative stance that says, I'm on the right heading. As Agamben says, hope is already satisfied as desired. It anchors you in the moment that is present. So, look at the picture we've painted. You have a calling you can't fully define. You're battered by the weather of chance. You are pulled by the current of necessity. And you are pushed by the winds of passion. It begs the question, are we simply at the mercy of these forces? Are we just corks bobbing in a chaotic ocean? The answer is no. You are not a cork. You are a navigator. The primed adventurer understands a fundamental truth. We cannot control the weather, the currents, or the wind, but we can learn to sail. The goal of your education, your self-development, is not to eliminate these forces. You can't stop the storm. The goal is to develop the cognitive architecture to navigate them with skill and purpose. We achieve this mastery through a specific capability called self-negotiated action. How do we execute self-negotiated action? We rely on 3 specific tools. Your navigational instruments. First, the pause. This is your anchor. It is the capacity to stop between stimulus, i.e. the storm, and your response, maybe panic. Without the pause, you're just reacting. With the pause, you create space for a choice. Second, subject-object rebalancing. This is your ability to clean the lens. When you are terrified, you are subject to fear. The fear has you. You need to step back and make that fear the object of your attention. You look at the storm rather than being consumed by it. Third, self-negotiated action. This is the agency that emerges from the first 2. It is the moment you align your inner convictions, your calling, with your outer perceptions, the reality of the sea. To make a move, this is how you sail. When you put all of this together, you achieve the mastery of the voyage. The skilled navigator doesn't fight the forces. They harness them. They look at the storm of chance and use the sextant of hope to find their bearings. They adjust their sails to catch the wind of love. They align their rudder with the current of necessity, and they keep their eyes fixed on the North Star of their calling. They transform accident, that is the storm, into the necessity, that is their destiny. I want to leave you with this reality. This is not just a metaphor. You are the voyager. Your life is the sea. Right now, you are navigating something. A career change, a relationship, a creative project. There are currents pulling you and storms threatening you. Stop trying to childproof your ocean. Stop trying to plan a voyage where the weather is always fair and it doesn't happen, because that can't be a reality for anyone. The question is not how to avoid the storms. The question is, how will you learn to sail? Will you develop the capacity to pause? Will you learn to rebalance? Will you become the navigator of your own life? Be reasonable, be an adventure, and I look forward to talking with you again in Lecture 4.